And so here we got the latest 3D Sonic game. We have Sonic X Shadow Generations. So this game is essentially two games in one. It's a remaster of Sonic Generations, the 2011 3D platformer that celebrated Sonic's 20th anniversary, and then a brand new story mode known as Shadow Generations. And I gotta say, these two combined, yeah, I really do think this is like the best 3D Sonic game of them all. Sonic Generations by itself was already near the very top of the list, but adding in Shadow Generations, oh yeah, it's just not even close. Like, Shadow Generations is arguably better than Sonic Generations. They're both just excellent 3D platformers. So let's tackle one at a time. Let's start with Sonic Generations. So the game really was a celebration of Sonic the Hedgehog. It was his 20th anniversary, and the game is just a huge love letter to the entire series. When it comes to the storyline, it sees Sonic and all of his friends getting together for Sonic's birthday party when all of a sudden everyone's sucked into this portal by this weird new creature known as the Time Eater. This mysterious time-traveling entity. So Sonic's gotta defeat this guy, save all of his friends, and restore the world. But he's not alone. Thanks to all of the time-traveling shenanigans of the Time Eater, another Sonic the Hedgehog shows up, one from the past. This is classic Sonic from the good old Genesis days, and so the two of them team up to take on the Time Eater. I think the plot is good for what it is. I'm not gonna act like it's this complicated, complex, overarching narrative that has a lot of deep meaning or memorable characters and moments, because it really doesn't. It's just about celebrating Sonic's history in a relatively fun, lighthearted manner, and I think the game more than gets the point across. Look, you probably aren't playing this game for its story. You're playing it because you want to experience a bunch of classic Sonic levels again, and you love the blue blur. So let's actually talk about, playing the game. So there's two different gameplay styles here, classic and modern Sonic. We will start with classic Sonic since he came first, and when you play as him, it is strictly just a 2D platformer. You never go into the third dimension. You can do the spin dash, you can actually do the drop dash in this new remaster, and there's no homing attack. You gotta actually jump on the enemies just like the good old days, and you know what? He's got some pretty good 2D gameplay. I'm not gonna act like the 2D gameplay or the controls or feel are as good as Sonic Mania. It's not, but I think it is pretty good for the most part. It's aged very well, and while it might take a minute to get used to the physics, I think it is still very good, and it's really easy and fun to build up momentum in this game and, go fast. The levels are also pretty great as well, with tons of diverging paths and plenty of fan service. And then we have Modern Sonic. Modern Sonic plays much more like the modern 3D games, I know, shocker, where it sees you just blasting through these levels at blisteringly high speeds. You're boosting all over, you're doing these crazy jumps and tricks, there's grind rails all over the place, enemies get taken out with a simple homing attack. You're just trying to finish these levels as fast as possible. The 3D gameplay is really great, and sometimes the game goes to a 2D perspective, and I think this is pretty great also. At times, it's even better than classic Sonic's gameplay, and 3D Sonic, oh, these levels are so good. Let's actually talk about the levels. All of the levels are throwbacks to prior Sonic games, and I'll just be real, there's not a bad level here. They don't recreate these levels one for one. No, they're more like reimagining of these levels, and certain moments and elements from those earlier versions are here, but all of these levels are fresh, they're new, and they just are all fantastic. There's tons of diverging paths in literally every single stage. You're going to want to play through these stages multiple times. You can get a great sense of speed in them. There's the hidden red coins, and you're going to want to get S ranks on every single stage. Like, it's just so much fun to play through some of these levels, especially the 3D Sonic levels. Like, I just love a lot of these levels. These might be the best levels of any 3D Sonic game. It's just got such exhilarating, engaging, fun gameplay. And then the level themes they chose, I think they're all actually pretty good, with Green Hill from the original game, Chemical Plant from Sonic 2, Sky Sanctuary from Sonic & Knuckles, Speed Highway from Sonic Adventure, City Escape, because of course it had to be City Escape from Sonic Adventure 2, Seaside Hill from Sonic Heroes, Crisis City from everyone's favorite 06, Rooftop Run from Sonic Unleashed, and finally finishing things off with Planet Wisp. And then on top of that, there's a bunch of boss fights that are also throwbacks to prior Sonic games, and I think all of these are pretty great outside of the final boss. The final boss is just awful in Sonic Generations, but that's the exception, not the norm. I think all of the other fights are pretty good in this game. In addition to playing through all of the levels where you just go from point A to B, really just get to the goal ring, there's a bunch of other challenges that show up in the hub area, and you will actually have to do some of these in order to beat the game, but I think these challenges are a fun little distraction that adds some variety to the game and extend it out a little bit longer. And not in a bad way. The game absolutely does not overstay its welcome. In a first time playthrough, you can probably finish the game in around 4 to 5 hours, but man, it is a action action-packed, exhilarating 4 to 5 hours. The pacing is really great in this game. It might be the best of like any Sonic game. I really just enjoyed playing through this game again, and this remaster, it seems to be pretty awesome. The presentation looked excellent for the time, the frame rate was great, it looks a little cleaned up here, and the music is just as good as ever. The music is really good in Sonic Generations. Funny enough, some of the voice acting and lines have also been updated with even more references to other Sonic games, and I gotta say, I really like some of these changes actually. All in all, if you're somebody who hasn't tried Sonic Generations at this point and you like 3D platformers or you like Sonic the Hedgehog, you really owe it to yourself to finally try this one. And then we have Shadow Generations. And ooh boy, I was really excited for this one, and it absolutely did deliver. If I split up Sonic Generations and Shadow Generations, man, Shadow Generations would still be near the top of the list. Like, this game is just awesome. So the game takes place parallel to Sonic Generations and focuses on Shadow, who is investigating the Ark for reasons, when all of a sudden the Time Meter shows up and starts messing with shit, and a bunch of Shadow's past really comes back to haunt him. Like, Black Doom actually comes back, Maria comes back, Gerald Robotnik comes back, and all I gotta say is the story is surprisingly really good. Not only is there a ton of fan service, but by bringing back Shadow's past and bringing up prior games, they're actually able to make some sense of the garbage nonsense that was the Shadow the Hedgehog video game. And shockingly, they actually turn it around and make a pretty good story out of it. Like, this game has a lot of really great moments, and if you're someone who's been a longtime fan of this series, especially Shadow, I think you're really going to love the story, and it got me even a little emotional towards the end. Like, it's just excellent. I don't know how much you're going to get out of this story if you're not a longtime Sonic fan, but as someone who is a diehard Sonic the Hedgehog fan, man, this is everything I could have always hoped for. Like, it was just so good. It was way better than I expected, and I wouldn't have imagined any of this shit happening even in my wildest dreams. Like, the fact that they even just reference the Shadow the Hedgehog video game speaks volumes. But then they actually build on it, they improve it, and they make some sense of it. It's like, wow, holy shit, this is awesome. And when it comes to the gameplay, oh, it's really great stuff also. The game is split up into two different sections, one of which being the more linear speed-based gameplay that's very similar to modern Sonic, and the other taking place in the open world that is the hub. Rather than it being a small little area like Sonic Generations, it's actually more akin to an open zone from Sonic Frontiers, and you can freely explore this area, go to the next level, but there's actually a bunch of collectibles, and you'll spend a good amount of time in this open area. And the gameplay in both of these is actually pretty great. I liked exploring the big open area. It reminded me of how awesome Sonic Frontiers was, and this is a well-designed area with plenty of fan service to Shadow the Hedgehog, and you can actually spend a few hours in here if you want to collect everything. It was a well-designed open area that I really never had any trouble exploring, and it only opens up and gets bigger and bigger the more you play through the game. But when you're not in the open areas, the hub, you're playing through one of the more linear speed stages, and this plays a lot more like modern Sonic, where you're boosting all over, you have the homing attack, and generally just going as fast as you possibly can. Shadow has a number of other abilities though, like Chaos Control. He can also shoot spears, he can surf on water, and they brought back all the punching and kicking from Sonic 06, only this time it's actually good and Shadow's a total badass. Like, you can whoop some serious ass as Shadow, way more than Sonic ever could, and he also feels great to control. It controls just like Frontiers and very well might be the best a character has ever controlled in a Sonic the Hedgehog game. It feels great, the momentum makes sense, it's not super sensitive or slippery, it's not stiff, it's easy to pick up and understand. Like, the controls are just fantastic. They even made the homing attack pretty reliable. It took like 20 plus years, but we're finally there. The homing attack is truly reliable in this game. But you won't even be using it as much because Shadow has so many awesome abilities. These levels are also pretty great, with plenty of diverging paths, good set pieces, memorable moments. None of these levels feel like they're on autopilot, and they all bring something different to the table. Each area actually has two levels, a 3D level, which are great, and a 2D level, and these are also pretty good. They're not as good as the 3D levels, but I enjoy them as well. There's also a bunch of challenges that you will actually have to do if you want to beat this game, and after you do them, you get to fight the bosses, and the bosses, oh yeah, they're all great stuff here. When it comes to the levels, there's really not a bad one here. Some of them are better than others, but I really enjoyed every single one of them, and there's some really great fan service in this game too. Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Heroes, Sonic 06, even Sonic Frontiers gets some love, which is pretty cool. But I will say it's a bit odd that Westopolis doesn't appear in this game at all. Like, Shadow the Hedgehog the game is obviously referenced several times. You go to Radical Highway and the Ark, which are both pretty similar to the game Shadow the Hedgehog, but come on. We played through Westopolis 10 fucking times already. Just give me more Westopolis. I want to see it recreated with the modern gameplay. I don't know what's good for me. What I'm trying to say is the level themes and levels themselves are all really great stuff. The game has a ton of amazing fan service, and it's just a fantastic 3D platformer through and through. This is the best game to ever feature Shadow, and it makes me really excited for the future. For years now, I've been wondering why we never got a Sonic Generations 2. Well, this is basically Sonic Generations 2, and it's just as great as I thought it would be. Sonic X Shadow Generations is the very best Sonic game to come out in quite some time, and I think it's one of the best Sonic games ever. If you've ever been on the fence about Sonic, or you're even kind of open to the idea of a 3D platformer, this game really is a must play. I loved every single minute of it, and I want to experience it over and over again.